Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to cut this stylish Veekee James overburst corset with deep neckline. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, here is my pattern paper and I've gone ahead to mark my shoulder to bust, shoulder to underbust, shoulder to waistline, and 5 inches for my top length, so making it a total of 22 inches for my blouse. So next I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2 and I'll mark, come down by 1 inch, go ahead to connect for my shoulder slope. So now I'll go ahead to find my chest line or armhole, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5, and I will rule a line at that point. So mine is 7 inches, and after here I'll mark what I have, that is my shoulder divided by 2, and I will connect. So after I'm done connecting at this point, I'll go ahead and mark my dart, which is my nipple to nipple divided by 2. So I'll be taking this whole measurement all the way to my waistline. After that, I'll just go ahead and place my ruler and I'll draw out a straight line connecting to the top length and waistline. Now I'll be marking a basic neckline of 3 by 3 inches, which I'll be using to serve as a guide for this pattern. After I'm done connecting, I'll measure what I have here, divide into 2, and I'll mark. So for this pattern I'm using a shoulder dart because of the upper part of the blouse, and I'll go ahead to connect. So at that same chest line I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Go ahead to connect it this way, so I'm not drawing out a full armhole at that point. So after this I'll just go ahead to mark my basic dart intake of 1 inch, and I will be taking this down all the way to the lower part of my pattern. So I'll go ahead and I'll draw a straight line connecting this all the way to the top length of my pattern and to the lower part. So after I'm done connecting, I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder dart. I'll be using 2 inches and I'll mark. So that 2 inches I took out, I'll extend it from that point all the way to the other end, and I will replace it back to the armhole point this way. Now after I'm done connecting, I'll just go ahead to connect that point, that 2 inches dart, to the bust. After I'm done connecting that point, I'll place my curved rule, connect from the bust down to the under bust, and also connect at the other side. So after I'm done connecting this, I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline my dart. So with the help of this shoulder dart, I can go ahead to draw out the neckline at the upper part of this pattern, that is by blending it in, and I'll just continue outlining my pattern to the lower part. After that, I'll just go ahead and place my tape about 3 inches and I'll pick a point. So this is just to have a dart that I'll be using for the bust. Here I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, add that 1 inch dart intake and add ½ inch. So here I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add ½ inch for my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. So now I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. For this pattern you're just going to make use of ½ inch, and I'll just go ahead to connect the rest of my pattern. After I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to use my marker to outline. So now we're going to alter this pattern to get the design of the blouse. First, I'm going to mark my bust dart, and to get the bust dart is your shoulder to waist in front minus your shoulder to waist at the back. Mine is 1.5 inches, my shoulder to waist in front is 17 inches, and my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. So that is a difference of 1.5 inches, which I marked here, and I'll outline it and shed it out to indicate that I have a dart at that point. So after I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead to blend it out, but I'll be doing that when I'm cutting out this particular pattern. And also when you want to add your style line, so I'll be adding about 2 style lines to this pattern, and I'll go ahead to mark the first one, and then on the other side I'll go ahead to also mark out. So you can extend this all the way up, then after cutting it out you just take out the excess you need. So just like I said, I'll be using 2 style lines because I'll be snatching out my waist. I'll be using multiple dart lines because in this corset you notice that there are multiple style lines, so I'll be using two style lines. And also I want to snatch out 4 inches from my waist. My waist is 28, I want it to be 24, so that 4 inches I'll snatch out, divide it by 4, what I have is 1 inch. So on one side of this dart I'll be sharing half inch, and on the other side I'll be sharing half inch. So on this part I shared half inch, giving me 0.25 at both sides. So I'll also mark 0.25 at both sides. So 0.25 plus 0.25 will give me 0.5, meaning half, and also repeating it at the other side will give me another half. So half plus half will give me 1 inch. So if I repeat this on the front side of the pattern on the right, repeat it on the front side of the pattern on the left, I've taken out 2 inches from the waist of the front pattern. So for the back I'll also repeat this same process, and I would be taking out 1 inch on both sides of the back, giving me another 2 inches. So 2 inches from the front, 2 inches from the back, that will give me 4 inches. But for the front pattern I'll just divide it at once. I just want to create a simple and basic back pattern. So here I'll blend in the dart and make sure that the shoulder is a bit straight at this point, and after I'm done doing that I'll come down by 3 inches. So this totally depends on what you want, and I'll go ahead to mark 3 inches from this point. So from that 3 inches I'll be coming in, but while coming in I'll make it a little curvy because what we have on the thumbnail is a bit curvy, and getting to the midpoint I'll take it up a bit. So here I'll just go ahead and outline this. After I'm done outlining, the next step is, you notice at this blouse we have a sharp or pointy edge. So I'll be going out by 1.5 inches and I'll connect it back. So you can decide to use 2 inches, but don't use something that is too long. So here I'll come up by half inch because I don't want my armhole to be too revealing. So after that I'll just go ahead and I will extend those style lines that I have there so that it will correspond with what I have on the lower side, and I'll go ahead and outline it. So now the next step I'm going to take is to mark 0.75 here. So for this center piece or yoke you can use 0.5 inch or 0.75 because at the upper part is supposed to be 1 inch or 1.5 inch. So that is 0.5 on fold, giving you 1 inch, 0.75 on fold, giving you 1.5. So I extended it all the way to the waist, and if you notice it's not so big, so you just want to leave it that way. So here I'll come up by 2 inches and I'll go ahead to draw out this waistline, and where I have the dart I'll blend it in and connect it this way. So after here I'll just go ahead and use my marker to outline. So the next step here now is to go ahead to cut out this pattern. All you have to do is to go ahead to blend in your dart, and you can pin up some areas and you will cut. So if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and if you have any question regarding this pattern illustration, please also leave it at the comment section. So after this you're just going to go ahead to cut out. You're going to cut out the yoke first as one piece, cut out the one labeled as 1, 2, then cut out the third one and the fourth. So the next step is the back pattern, and which I have gone ahead to mark out all the basic measurements. So if you notice the waistline of the back is 15.5, this is because of the bust dart, and my waistline at the front is 17 and the waistline at the back is 15.5 inch. So next I will be marking out the dart intake of 3.5 inches. That is 7.5 divided by 2, giving me 3.5. So I'll go ahead and mark this all the way to the lower part of my pattern. After that, I'll just go ahead and place my ruler, draw out a straight line. After drawing out, I'll be marking out 1/2 inch on both sides of the pattern. So come down by 1 inch, and here I'll come up by 4 inches. Go ahead to connect this all the way up and connect at the other side, and then extend it to the upper part of the pattern. After I'm done doing that, the next step is to go ahead to insert my body measurement, but before then I'll go ahead to mark out my dart. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 here, and I'll add my sewing allowance of 1/2 inch. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, and I will replace it. After that, I'll be adding my sewing allowance. So for this pattern, just go ahead and make use of 1/2 inch for your sewing allowance. Coming to the lower part, I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. I'll go ahead to connect this from the upper part to the lower part of this pattern. So I'll just go ahead and outline this, and after that I'll use my marker to make it more visible for you to see. So after I'm done doing this, I'll come in by 2 inches at the back. This is to create the lacing bar area, and this is not a standard. It totally depends on what you want to use, and I'll draw out a straight line. So at the back pattern of this dress, I will come down by 1/2 inch on this side, and I will connect it all the way up. So at the front part, if you notice, I went up by 1/2 inch, and I said you can do that if you want, or if not, you can just leave it. So from this part, I came up by 2 inches, and I'll connect it all the way to the lower part of my pattern. So for this pattern now, I'll go ahead and I will cut this out. After I'm done cutting it out, I will now go ahead to snatch out this part. So just like I said, you can decide to use 2 style line at your back. The back, I'll be leaving it basic. I'll be using 1. So instead of taking 2 and the 0.5 on each part of the style line, I will now use 1 style line, and I'll be marking 1/2 inch on both sides. That 1/2 inch will give me 1. So if you use 2 style line, you'll be marking 0.25 on both sides, which will give you 0.5, and both of them will still give you that 1 inch. So now I marked the 1/2 inch. I'll go ahead and extend, and after that I'll go ahead to cut this out. So after this, we are done with today's tutorial. If you find this video very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and also join us in our next video. Thanks.